Today, we yet again have another opportunity to further exchange ideas on how we can become more effective in countering terrorism and in the prevention of radicalization and extremism that breeds terrorism. I wish to take this opportunity to thank you, Secretary General Guterres, for co-chairing this conference with us. Your presence here is a very clear signal of the high priority that you personally, and indeed the entire United Nations family, places on this agenda. I also wish to thank His Excellency Moussa Faki, Chairman of the African Union Commission, for also being here, together with all participants. And I hope that strong and practical proposals emerge in the next 2 days on how the AU peace and security architecture can be strengthened to be more responsive to the terrorism challenges facing our continent. To all distinguished participants present, I urge all of you to utilize the opportunities afforded by this conference to advocate for greater investment and reforms towards combating terrorism. I ask you today to join me in applauding all those who put their lives at risk every day to combat tourism and keep our lives and freedoms secure, and also to all those who are brave and outspoken champions against radicalization and extremism, piercing hearts with truth despite the dangers to themselves and their loved ones. Let us also pause to remember all those taken from us at the hands of terrorists and extremists. For their sake, and to ensure that they are the last victims of such atrocities, we hold conferences such as these to seek urgent solutions. Excellencies, as with the rest of the world, Africa has suffered greatly at the hands of global terrorism. Terrorist groups, and in particular Al-Qaeda's affiliates, splinter groups, and those it has inspired, have an active presence in Africa, taking territory, disrupting the rule of law and the enjoyment of freedoms, and in some cases even posing existential threats to nation states. Groups like Al-Shabaab and Boko Haram have started showing that they are a cancer that starts in one region or one country and steadily grows from there, eventually having negative effects across not just that country, but neighboring ones within the region. Given this tendency for terror groups to spread their nefarious tentacles across borders, and given their stated goal of continent-wide oppression and subjugation, no African nation can rest easy, and we are all targets in the sight of terror groups. Terror groups have mutated and evolved. They now feature sophisticated public relations arms, covering their extremism and atrocities under the veneer of operating as quasi-governments and providing public goods akin to those provided by the state. They do this not for the benefit of the people subjugated under their tyrannical rule, but as a means of creating a false equivalency and respectability to their criminality. We cannot cede ground to such groups if we hope to build a prosperous and peaceful Africa where freedom and justice reign supreme. A strong state, bold and adequately resourced to combat terrorism and extremism in a way that at all times upholds the fundamental values of our democracies, is a prerequisite for security, development, and deepening democracy within our nation states. The continued ability of terror groups to radicalize, recruit, and train our young people and thereafter deploy them to commit unspeakable horrors is a wake-up call for all of us, both state and non-state actors, both domestically as well as internationally. International bodies, individual governments, civil society, parliamentarians, the media, the religious sector, and all relevant stakeholders must come together, act in concert, and ensure that we channel the immense talents, energy, and vigor of our youth to the betterment of the world and to advance the quest for the human race. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we need to respond to the profound threat of terrorism with a mix of capabilities and frameworks that are informed by lessons learned and driven with much greater urgency and determination. Our most important and immediate goal is to ensure that Al-Qaeda and ISIS affiliates and surrogates do not hold any territory in Africa. Holding territory is their single greatest source of financing and results in recruitment, training grounds, and also claims of legitimacy. They exploit investment, trade, and humanitarian spaces to sustain their evil campaigns. The result of this reverse development has increased the phenomenon of internally displaced persons and contributes to general social and political instability in states, nations, and regions. The hard lesson we have learned is that multinational military missions that deny terrorist territory need to have strong mandates, appropriate force enablers and multipliers, and be deployed alongside a comprehensive terrorism sanction regime and implemented together with a political strategy for stabilization and the delivery of services to the population if they are to be successful.